So the way I balance that is having good quality on my content. That is, it could be a video or a text or a algorithm, whatever, that will deliver value. And then I do the volume by the way I promote it, right? So I'll do the volume out on reaching out to people through several different approaches and channels to get them to click through that.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to the Wisenetix Podcast. My name is Daryl. I'm your host, at least today, and I'm the head of sales with Wisenetix. And today we've got a special guest. I've got Cristiano Von Simson. He's the Director of Marketing and Veterinary Services at Virbac. Cristiano, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Daryl. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Hey, always happy to ask. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do at Virbac.
So I am a veterinarian turned into marketeer many years ago. And so at Virbac, I have a bit of a dual role. I'm in charge of marketing for some of our brands, the more medical stuff, less consumer prescription, so the more prescription side. And then I had our veterinary team that is out there educating the customers.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting kind of dual split.
Yeah, I found that in my career, I started in industry as a field veterinarian, right, with a more technical role. 6 months into it, I was pulled into marketing to help with the launch, and I found that the next 40 years almost was more a marketing career. Not that much, 30 plus. But always, because we have products that are inherently, pharmaceuticals and supplements and all that, I always use my technical background to help positioning the product and all that. So I was always a bit of a dual role. Now, finally, I'm kind of got it officially on my business card that I'm doing both things.
Nice. Well, that's an interesting turn of events there, but I could definitely see how you could leverage your technical experience to help in the marketing side. Awesome. Tell me a little bit about your achievements. Give us your top 3 and really what have you learned from those?
So when I think of top achievements, you always think about the really big successful product launches, right? And I was fortunate to be, I guess, at the right place at the right time and launch some game changers. So I started my career launching the first modern flea and tick product, Frontline. And that was a really interesting experience, not only because it was a big product that was very successful and changed the face of flea and tick control in industry, but also because it allowed me to be with a company that grew dramatically. And I was part of that process of learning, how to move from a relatively small company to number one in the animal health industry. And that was just a lot of learning. The other thing that I enjoyed was launching my first global product. When I moved into global marketing, I launched a product for equine gastric ulcers called GastroGuard. And that's where I learned to do it globally, right? The different cultures, different markets, and found that at the root of it, it's all the same when you think of marketing. The drivers, right? People are people. What drives them is the same. It's just how you package it, how you approach them, how you word it, that needs to be locally adapted. But the key basic principles are the same wherever you go. You just need to adapt to the culture. And more recently, I just launched a product for tumors in dogs called Stelfonta. That's also being developed for humans. So hopefully we'll have it in the future. That it's another game changer on the way it works. It's instead of doing surgery to remove a skin tumor, you inject the product in the tumor that will destroy the tumor and heal the space where the tumor was. So it's a big change for the veterinarians on how they do things. And again, learning how to educate and how to bring that product, the hurdles we get, it's been a lot of learning again. And by now you probably realize that what drives me and excites me is learning new things, right? And I don't think so much about the incredible commercial success that those products are, Frontline, GastroGuard, but more about how much I learn and the new things I discover.
Sure. No, those are all incredible achievements. I mean, I'm sure I've used Frontline. I know I've used Frontline for my pets in the past, and I think I still do, to be honest. But what a learning experience going from, a company to a rapidly growing company. That's really cool, and really interesting to know that you were part of that. I always like to ask this question because I think it's a fun question. What would your parents describe you as what you do? How would they describe it?
They still will probably describe it as their son, the veterinarian, right? Because because I'm in animal health and I love animals. Now I have dogs and horses, so I'm still in their mind, the veterinarian. I think my dad probably understands better all the other part of my role, the marketing and the business part, because he was also in industry and etc. But when I describe myself deep down in the heart, that's probably the first thing that comes to mind. It's my love for the animals and being a veterinarian. And a lot of my career in marketing is also fulfilling on top of all the things I like to do marketing-wise, is because I know I'm bringing new information and new tools to the profession. And at the end of the day, I'm getting the animals better medicine and better results. So that not only drives me personally, but it helps me in my marketing approach, because that's being really in tune with my customer, right? The veterinarians out there, they have a business, they have a veterinary hospital, or they're working in a large animal. But the reason that they became veterinarians is not to be businessmen, is to protect animals and to deliver better health services and make them happier and healthier. So because I feel the same way, it's a lot easier for me to put myself in my customer's shoes and bring the best messages out there.
Sure. That makes total sense. And I love to hear, and it sounds like a primary reason for most vets, just like you said, is a love for animals. And that just translates straight down. Kind of moving into that vein of questioning about marketing itself. In your opinion, what are the main changes that have happened in marketing since digital media and the internet have really become a part of people's lives? And further on, how should that be incorporated in a company strategy?
Well, to me, being there before and being here now, it's so exciting to have all those new tools, right? All the media, the social media, the digital, for several reasons. We all know that it's highly efficient, it's more cost effective, you can segment better, but also as a marketeer, you can get feedback and try things and test things a lot faster, right? I remember back in the day when the main media was TV commercials. You would do the focus groups first, you do your pre-testing of the concepts and all that, but once you had it out there, that was it, right? There was not a lot of opportunity to change or tweak it until next year or next season, wherever it was your calendar for creating a new material. So now you can really fine tune it. You can change it on the same day. You can start with 2-3 concepts. You can see how they're responding. So today we can really be a lot more detailed and accurate on our approach, not only by segment your audience a lot better, but you can also have different approaches for different channels, right? For example, right now, when I promote my product, I know that depending on the publication I'm reaching the vet through, when I reach them on a more technical journal, I learned that a more clinical, technical messaging and imaging will grab their attention and work better than a more, consumer entertaining approach. If they are the same vet, if I reach them through Facebook, then I want something that's a little more colorful and entertaining because they're in a different mindset. But to me, the new tools provide you all that ability to test, to segment, to fine-tune your approach. Marketing itself didn't change. Now, what you're trying to do is the same thing. You just got much better tools now that allow you to be more precise, more reactive, and you got to be ready to make the most of the feedback you get from the results and quickly adapt.
That's an amazing answer. Especially, we do a lot of A/B testing ourselves. We could probably do a lot of ABCD testing too, but the speed at which we get data now really helps us, and I'm sure you guys, as yourself, use that all day long.
Yeah, and we're still learning, right? Because it's evolving so fast. I used to do A/B testing in general. Now I'm moving to, depending on the publication, I want to tailor it accordingly. And it will keep evolving, right? We'll keep learning more and more. And the amount of data you can collect on your customer too, not only the hard data, but the data on how they react and how they respond, it's amazing. And you can tailor everything by that. Even your commercial promotions, you can tailor based on what they respond to and what they don't respond to.
That's insightful. That's really insightful. What are your thoughts on content marketing, and how do you see that compared to traditional marketing?
Well, in our industry, in animal health, particularly when you're talking to pet owners and veterinarians or even production animal, content was always important, right? Our messages, there's some branding, there's some the power of the brand, but our messages have always been a little more complex messages. So you're talking about products that will nourish or pharmaceuticals and all that. So you have a longer story than a 30-second quick branding commercial.
Mm-hmm.
But as we move into digital, the very, I guess, used and abused word "content is king." It's really true, right? Because you're competing with so much stuff there. There's an abundance of options of what you can do with your time on the internet. So being relevant, not only have content, but being relevant and creating that image that when I see a contact from this source, I want to click on it and I want to pay attention to this. It's really important. And it's not easy to do, right? Because good content takes effort. So sometimes you need to resist that temptation to go for volume and really go for quality. Don't send 30 emails or 30 banners or whatever to your customer, but pick one that will really have that stopping power and will drive some action. The other thing that's happening is that you got to think on that call to action. Is your message going to be there, or are you wanting them to click through to something and what they're going to click through? Mm-hmm. And sometimes, the content sometimes is the second or third layer. And if you create that content, you can leverage it in many different ways. That's what we've been trying to do more and more, is to have some solid content that then you can leverage in several different digital outreach options.
Sure. And do you find that there's a balance between quality and volume? Or would you say that quality is going to be the king for you guys?
So the way I balance that is having good quality on my content. That is, it could be a video or a text or a hologram, whatever, that will deliver value. And then I do the volume by the way I promote it, right? So I'll do the volume out on reaching out to people through several different approaches and channels to get them to click through that content that's quality.
Gotcha.
So you can have both in that sense, but you need to start with that good content first before you spend a lot of time and money getting people to click through.
Gotcha. Hey, that makes sense. You have to have something great for them to get to.
Yeah.
Because you want them to go through it.
Otherwise, you get that nice thing that will make them click, and then when they click, it's a big disappointment, right? You lose them right there.
That's true.
It's the thing that frustrates the most when I'm online, just entertaining myself, is the clickbait, right? You get an article with a headline that is really exciting on a topic that you are interested, because of course they know the topics I'm interested. I'm online. And then when you click through, the title really doesn't mirror the content of the article or something like that. It's all twisted to make you click, but then you get there, it's a disappointment.
Yeah,
that
or the
negative,
titles.
yeah, that negative feeling is the last thing you want for your customer to feel, right? You want the opposite. You want them to click through and be amazed by what you're serving them.
That's an interesting take. And I agree with that. But I think we're all victims of clickbait where we're like, ooh, that article sounds interesting. And the only thing interesting was the title. So
yeah. And then it's that long thing with a bunch of ads in it, and you feel stupid that you click on it.
Yeah.
So, of course, so it's easy to get excited about the power of your message on your banner or whatever it is that you're sending out that for people to click through. Your post on sponsored post or whatever it is. But then forget that the important part of the experience is once they click through and experience what you want to serve them.
Awesome. So the king piece really is the content experience, what you want to drive them to.
Yeah,
I love
and that's where we in our industry, I leverage a lot the experts, the opinion leaders, but then you want to format it into a highly attractive format too. And that's the other part that's evolving, right? It used to be written back in the day. Then we're trying to be more interactive. Lots of videos. The way that people learn changed. Nobody reads a whole full page anymore, not even a full paragraph. So we're looking at podcasts. We're looking at videos, how-to videos, small snippets of information, and you got to make that content not only relevant but also easy to digest and entertaining in a way.
Sure, absolutely. And we're kind of finding the same things here too at Wisenetix. Kind of building on that just a little bit. I think you mentioned it just a bit with using experts, but how do you build authority and thought leadership for your brand and an audience?
So there's several different ways you go about it, right? When I have the more medical scientific messages, the experts are really important. So one of the brands, the group of brands that I manage is dermatology. So of course the specialists on dermatology are big, and you build those relationships over time. It's not something that you flip a switch and you have them. So it takes time and effort to get those experts on board. We do roundtables, we do panels to create guidelines or recommendations. All that is really good. Another level is the peer-to-peer advice. So building your advocates. And that can be a veterinary practitioner, general practitioner, can be a pet owner. And you want to nurture that, right? You want to know who are the people that are using your product and are happy with it. Reach out to them and create situations for them to share with each other. So you build that energy up, and then you want to share that energy with the people that are not aware of your product yet. This last product that I mentioned that we launched for tumors in dogs has been a great example of that, because when a pet owner goes through an experience with cancer, it's a highly emotional experience, right? Cancer still have that stigma of being almost a death sentence. So having a product that will heal that dog, it's a really powerful experience for that owner. And they want to share. They want to help other dogs and other owners. So we are a lot of what we're doing right now is facilitating that information flow. The energy is already there. You just need to tap into it and then make it available for the other owners that are considering or not aware. And that peer-to-peer recommendation is way more powerful than anything else I could do, right? Because the people that have been through it, and they know how hard it was emotionally and how amazing it was in the end.
Absolutely. I could really see that, especially for the new product for the tumors. I think we've all had a pet at some point we've had to part with. And, our family pet growing up ended up with a ton of different tumors all across her body. And, my dad was very attached to that animal. And it was tough watching that happen. So being able to,
the extreme example,
right?
But for more day-to-day things too, if you think of an allergic dog, the owner that's been struggling, not finding a solution for that pet that's always uncomfortable and itchy, a dog that has frequent ear problems. So a lot of those not health-threatening problems, but things that cause discomfort and anxiety and stress also can, when you have a solution that can generate a very powerful emotion that you want to tap into and share. An arthritic dog that now can move again. So there's several examples in our industry that you can use.
That's awesome. And I love how you mentioned kind of taking the energy that's been built and bringing that to people who don't know of it yet. I think that really grows in and on itself as the product gets, deeper market penetration.
Yes. Yeah. You see that in other industries. You see the car aficionados. In our industry, we see the breed clubs. When you look at the pet owners, you see the Frenchie is the number one breed, and you see the Frenchie lovers. And so you can tap into that too. And they share stuff with each other. There's many ways you can get those people to advocate for your brands.
That's awesome. So we're going to switch gears just a little bit here and kind of wind down more about you and less than the marketing. But what is an important lesson that you have learned over your career, Cristiano?
Oh, there's been so many lessons. And to me, the most important lesson is how many generous people are out there that will help you if you ask. If you're humble, and if you're going to a new area of knowledge that you are not, you're not experienced, you want to learn new things, go out there and seek the people that are good at it. And you'll find that many of them will be eager to share and to help you for no personal profit. Building that kind of network of generous, positive people that are experts on subjects that will be willing to help you has made an amazing difference in my life. I started my career as a horse veterinarian out in Brazil, where I'm from, and that was my plan for life. So all my study and preparation was to do that. And once I did that and I was successful at it, I realized I was still young and I wanted to learn a lot more. And I ventured into animal health industry and market. Today, I work mostly with companion animals. So I had to learn a lot. From the business marketing side, but also from the science and veterinary medicine side. And there was always a lot of people that were very generous in sharing their knowledge and helping me along. But it takes being humble and reaching out and asking the questions and going there and say, I'm new at this. Can you please help me? You'll be surprised how many people will be happy to do that. Now I'm at the point that I'm trying to pay back and do the same for other people, right? So when people reach out to me, I spend time doing it, and I now understand why they do it. It feels really good to help other people, and to help them along, and to get more and more people doing good things in this world. So it sounds maybe a bit romantic or naive, but it really works. Go out there and ask.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I think obviously being humble is a big part of it,
Yeah.
But taking that first step and asking for help is something I wish I did more when I was younger. And it's something that, especially now, I strive to do. My father was big on telling me, you are who your circle is. Well, let's make the circle a little bigger.
Yeah, and it's when you get thrown a new challenge that you're not proficient at it, right? You get a little bit of that imposter syndrome, and you have the tendency to try to say, "Oh, I'm good at this. I'm going to do it," and it's almost a defense to not to tell people, "Hey, I don't know much about this." That's what I had to learn to break and say, "Okay, I don't learn much about this, but I'm a fast learner, and I'm going to get good at this. Let me find help." And that's the big difference.
I love it. Kind of in a little different area of a question, but I always like asking this because it's very different for everybody. At what time of day do you get your best work done?
Oh, I'm not a morning person at all. Right? If left to my own devices, I would not do much until 10, 11 a.m. But then at the end of the day, my mind is going at a mile a minute or more. So my my work in the morning, my work is mostly the administrative stuff, sorting out, reading emails, and figuring out what I need to do. In the afternoon, usually there's too many meetings to get any other work done. And then when everybody goes home and leave me alone, it's where I really do the stuff I need my full brain on, right? When I'm planning, reviewing, reading stuff. And so it tends to be at the end of the day. And that's always been my whole life. That's how my rhythm was. I am able to work early in the morning if I need to, right? As a horse vet, I was at the racetrack at 5 a.m. many times, working with the veterinarians there. But it's not my sweet spot.
I gotcha. We're opposites then. For me, it's when everyone's still sleeping before they wake up, and then I do my admin at the end. But it's funny that yours is at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's important to know those things, right? So you can organize your life around it and not fight it. Right? There's nothing wrong of not being an early morning person. You just need, although many times you get that peer pressure on, right? The early bird and all that. But if you know when you're productive, organize your life to make the most of it.
Yeah, you got to find your own worm.
Mm-hmm, correct.
You got to find your own worm.
There's got to be some worms that have the same rhythm, right? That will be up late.
That's right. You got to find what's best for you. And the end of my days too hectic because my teenagers come home and stuff like that. So my big brain can't work there. But when they're still sleeping, I can get it all done.
Yeah, so, peace and quiet. That's good.
That's right. So this is a dangerous question for me because typically I end up buying them. But what are 3 books that you would recommend to the audience and why?
See, there's several books that I like. I like Simon Sinek a lot. And
Simon Sinek is amazing.
One book that I really liked of him is, I think it's his latest book, unless he published something recently. It's called Leaders Eat Last.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that book because it's something that had been worrying me for a while. It's how our whole system is working, right? And he explains much better than I could. But he talks about how originally people will buy stocks, invest their money for retirement, but they will invest themselves, right, directly. So they were looking for companies that grew a long time, that had a culture, that was the blue chips, the solid things, because they didn't have time to be watching the market and buying and trading their stocks all the time. And then somebody created a fund manager, and the whole chemistry changed. Today, you give your money to somebody that's full-time investing it. That changed the expectation of time, because those folks are buying in the morning. They want profit by the end of the day if they can, right? So it's moving really fast. Well, we all know that, but what that also changes the board of the company. Your board of directors now are all short-term minded. So your CEO is not that CEO that will span a generation in the company like a Yakaka or a Jack Welch. Mm-hmm. Your CEO has a 3-year shelf life, and they are moving to the next job and the next job. So nobody is interested in investing for the long term. You don't know. The good projects are the short, fast projects. And that disrupts our system because nobody's investing in training. Nobody is investing in good manufacturing quality. And we're all selling dinner to buy lunch, really. Simon Sinek does a great job at showing all the examples of how that's crazy in the short term. And the companies that are trying to beat the odds. And it has a lot of other insights in terms of culture and companies and how the employees feel about a company that they trusted that works well with them. So to me, that's an amazing book. It's important to read for anybody in business because we need to buck this trend somewhat if we want to really be successful. I'll stop with that one book. If people read that one book, I got my job done. There's a few more. I like books on negotiation and influencing people, but I'll leave them with Simon Sinek so they focus on it.
I will even say that 3-book series, the Start With Why series, that it's part of, there's 3 books there. We'll leave it there. I love his perception on the leadership. That book's an amazing book. I probably should reread it, but Start With Why really got me when it
that
first
book
came out.
is the one that most people know him for.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I like about his books is that many of the business books, they have one concept that will serve to you on the first chapter, and then is repetition for 12 more chapters because they need to sell a book, right? Simon brings a new piece of information and more data at every paragraph, and it's all very well researched, and there's lots of information. So I know from page 1 to the last page, you're getting content for what you pay for.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. And his TED Talk, which is, I think, where the Start With Why started from, is good. I bring that up every now and then to everybody here at Wisenetix. But first time that question wasn't dangerous to me because I already own them. So kind of wrapping up here, I've got 2 more questions for you, Cristiano. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
That's a difficult question, right? That's a big thoughts there. I think I want to be remembered for making a positive difference, and probably for making a positive difference for animals and the people that work with them. Because as I told you early on, the reason I'm still doing marketing and animal health and I didn't drift to other areas is because I do have an attachment to this profession.
Mm-hmm.
So if people remember me for, he helped veterinarians do their job a little better by bringing new tools, by sharing information, by educating people, that's what I would like to be remembered for.
That's awesome. And you know what? I don't know if it's funny. It's great that everybody that I ask that question to is a very similar answer. They want to have a positive impact on whatever segment they're in and their people and the animals. And I really love hearing that every single time. Wrapping it up here, Cristiano, where can listeners find you online?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is fairly unique, so if you search Cristiano Von Simson, you're going to find me on LinkedIn. It's probably a good way to get in touch with me. I'm also always present on animal health events, conferences, and all that, but LinkedIn is the way to find me.
Perfect. Well, if you want to find Cristiano, he even offered it. He'll be the mentor. Go ahead and find him on LinkedIn.
I'll be happy to.
Awesome.
No, feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, we will. I am already connected, and I'm definitely going to be reaching out to you a little bit. But thank you so much for being on the podcast, Cristiano.
Thank you there. It was a pleasure being here.
No problem. And you have a great one. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This has been the Wisenetix Podcast. We'll see you next time.